As conflict loomed over Europe in the late 1930s, Switzerland, nestled in the Alps, stood apart. Its history of neutrality was a means of survival. The Swiss people, a mosaic of cultures, were united in their desire to remain outside the war. Their land, a breathtaking panorama of mountains and valleys, was to become their shield. The declaration of strict neutrality was not unexpected, yet its implications in a global war were profound. How could such a small country, bordered by aggressive regimes, maintain its independence? Switzerland was a democratic island in a sea of totalitarianism. In response to the threat, Switzerland mobilized. Under the Reduit National, the nation transformed into a fortress. An army of 850,000 troops was called to arms. Their mission, the defense of their homeland. The Alps provided natural ramparts, difficult for any invading army to overcome. Tunnels were mined, bridges prepared for demolition, and fortifications constructed high in the mountains. Every citizen understood the stakes, prepared to fight for every inch of their territory. Switzerland's neutrality during World War II was complex and morally ambiguous. Economic survival presented its own set of challenges and compromises. While soldiers stood guard, a different engagement took place in the counting houses and boardrooms. Switzerland's role as a financial centre brought intricate connections to Nazi Germany. The Swiss economy continued to trade with all belligerents, including extensive dealings with Nazi Germany. Essential goods and financial services flowed across the border. The Swiss franc became highly sought after. This economic interdependence meant Switzerland was economically entwined with the Third Reich. The most controversial aspect was the acceptance of Nazi gold. Vast quantities of looted gold made its way into Swiss bank vaults. Swiss banks facilitated the conversion of this gold into hard currency, aiding the Nazi regime. This starkly contrasted with the nation's humanitarian ideals. The leaders and bankers faced excruciating choices, balancing national security and economic stability against moral implications. Were they pragmatic realists or complicit in fueling the Nazi war machine? These questions would haunt Switzerland for decades, prompting a painful re-examination of its wartime record. Amidst the war, Switzerland became a hub for diplomacy and humanitarian efforts. Its borders, fortified against military intrusion, were permeable to those seeking refuge or neutral ground for dialogue. Geneva, home to the League of Nations, became the heart of many international relief organizations. The International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, worked tirelessly, monitoring prisoners of war and providing relief. Switzerland's humanitarian efforts presented a mixed picture. The country offered sanctuary to some refugees but had restrictive policies. Thousands were turned away at the borders. While individual Swiss citizens showed compassion, the official stance was often cautious. Switzerland's neutral status provided a platform for diplomacy. Swiss territory was used for clandestine meetings and secret negotiations. These channels allowed for the exchange of information and prisoner exchanges. Switzerland offered a rare space where adversaries could engage. Maintaining this role as a discreet go-between was crucial. It contributed to the faint hopes for a resolution to the conflict. Switzerland's neutrality allowed it to act as an intermediary, addressing the suffering of war's victims. When the war ended in 1945, Switzerland stood largely unscathed. However, the end of the war did not mean an end to scrutiny. The Allied powers exerted pressure on Switzerland regarding its wartime financial dealings. In 1946, Switzerland agreed to pay 250 million Swiss francs as compensation for looted gold. Decades later, the dormant accounts controversy erupted. Revelations emerged about bank accounts holding assets belonging to Holocaust victims. Swiss banks agreed to a settlement of $1.25 billion. This forced Switzerland to confront uncomfortable truths about its past. The Bergier Commission undertook an exhaustive investigation into Switzerland's wartime role. The final report, published in 2002, detailed economic cooperation with Nazi Germany and criticized refugee policies. Today, Switzerland adapts its neutrality to modern complexities. It participates in international peacekeeping efforts and is a member of the Schengen area. Its neutrality now addresses modern threats like cyber attacks and terrorism. Geneva remains a hub for international diplomacy. The past continually informs the present, with ongoing investigations into wartime financial entanglements.